Hey everyone, and welcome back to the MamaNest Podcast, a podcast about immigrant moms helping them grow, thrive, and rewrite their career stories here in Canada. I'm your host, Mahsa Rezaei, career strategist and proud mom of two. Today's guest is someone I've only not admired from my experience, but also the joy I had the joy of working with. We recently co hosted an incredible event for career focused immigrant moms, and it was honestly one of the most meaningful workshops we've done. Chris is the founder of Pickles, a unique digital platform that empowers creative self expression through collaborative drawing. He's also the winner of the MIT Creative Arts and Hacking Health competitions, and he brings a refreshing perspective on using creativity as a bridge for personal and professional growth. When he's not running workshops or companies, you can find Chris running through the woods, which sounds like a great place to start your life. Oh, and a fun little twist, Chris is about to become a dad, which brings a whole new layer to our conversation today. Chris, welcome to the show and congratulations.
Thank you so much, Masa. It is awesome to be talking to you here and appreciate you having me on.
Great. Thank you so much, Chris, for your time. So before we dive in, Chris, can you tell our listeners a little bit about your journey, what Pickles is exactly, and what inspired you to start this?
Yeah, that's could be a whole podcast right there, but I'll give you the short version of it. So I've always been entrepreneurial since a kid selling candy on the bus and then starting landscaping company in high school. And that really planted the seeds of entrepreneurship in me from an early age. And I thought I had found the promised land. I couldn't imagine how my friends were working in grocery stores when they could be outside working for themselves, making much more money and having control over what they were doing. And so I was always starting companies or working in startups throughout college and after college. And then it wasn't until I got a sales job that I realized how important entrepreneurship was to me,
Exactly.
because having to lock myself in a phone booth for 8 hours a day, making hundreds of calls, all going to voicemail, I just felt like a really just a piece in a machine. And I no longer had that ability of putting myself into my
Mm-hmm.
work. And that's when I realized entrepreneurship was scratching my creative itch. It was making me feel alive. And now that I didn't have that anymore, I got curious about how I could tap back into that creative part of me that was so necessary to express. So that's when I founded Pickles as a way to make creativity and creative expression more accessible to everyone, especially those people who don't consider themselves an artist
Uh-huh.
or think that they are creative themselves.
Awesome. So, you said that you started that landscaping company from the age of like when you were a high schooler, or what? What?
Yeah,
Okay.
a, a little before, like
Oh
14
my
or
God.
so, 13 or 14.
Interesting. So I bet you started like doing it yourself, like helping around in the neighborhood, and then you found, okay, well, why not making a company? It's
Yeah, exactly. My dad was paying
fun.
me in Pokemon card
Oh,
booster packs, actually. So yeah, so he was just giving me one of those, and then I figured I would go to our neighbor who was mowing his lawn, and he was the first one to actually pay me in real money,
oh,
$20 per cut, which would take me about an hour or an hour and a half. And then from there, I went to other neighbors. And once I had about 4 or 5 regulars, I got a loan from my parents to buy my first garden tractor.
oh,
And that now I could sit on it. It was twice as wide. It could take me a lot further. And so that was the first investment that I had ever made in myself, in my own
wow.
business, which also made it much more profitable, much more faster.
Great.
And so that was like a fun little hands-on business lesson
Ex-
and investing in yourself.
Exactly. So you started investing in yourself way earlier in your business. That's a good point. That's what I like. because I was not born as an entrepreneur like you, and I didn't have this idea of entrepreneurship at all. When I wanted to start MamaNest, it was just a platform to share ideas, and then it turned out to be a business. So I started doing trial and error, and I didn't assume like MamaNest as a social business, like even after 2 years. So it took a long time for me to to find out that well, I need investment, I need funding, and stuff like that. So it's good that you have this practice
Yeah.
from early on. Great.
Yeah, and it really is practice.
Exactly.
Like you don't know where you're going to be going ultimately, but just like staying in touch with your customers, seeing what they need. I just started mowing lawns, but then I started buying leaf blowers and hedge trimmers, and you just start doing more and more as people ask for it. And then I think that's how a lot of entrepreneurs function. They see what's needed after they start doing something, and then they adapt to that.
Exactly. So I'm just curious, why pickles and why this idea? Because you've been like, I think, doing this business for a while, and then did you shift to other businesses, or what was the need for that you started this platform, Pickles?
Yeah, so I really built it for myself
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
without any creativity in my job, I was just like, how can I just be more creative without being a singer? I can't dance, I can't cook very well,
Oh,
I cannot play the ukulele. And so it's like, how do I just stretch those creative muscles and build that creativity without the ability? And that's where the name Pickles comes from. It's actually not the salty snacks that many people know them for. In this case, it's spelled Piccles because it's a combination of pictures and pixels. So the whole idea for it beginning was I can't make the Mona Lisa. And if I try, it's going to look terrible. I'll feel disappointed and I'll never try doing anything creative again. So instead, I could take the Mona Lisa and break it into 100 or 1,000 little pieces, little pixels. And then with 100 other people, we could all just do our little piece. It'll all come together to form this new image that no one spent a lot of time doing. And no one is totally responsible for the end output. So there's kind of this strength in numbers where you're not going to feel judged for what you put out there, because that's what keeps a lot of people from being creative. It's they sing a little bit and then their partner says, "Oh my God, that sounds terrible. Never sing again." Or you cook, try a new recipe, and then someone's like, "This is garbage," and then you're like, "Well, I guess I'll stick to the basic stuff that I know." And I think that criticism is such a part of your creative output. It's inevitable when you release something into the world that it will be criticized, and some people will say some mean things about whatever you put
Mhm.
out there. And that's the hard part of it. It's continuing to make cringeworthy things until they become less
Yeah,
cringeworthy. That I think is a big part of entrepreneurship, of creativity, of art, of all of it.
exactly.
And so I'm just hoping to help people kind of build those skills and just get less stuck into their routines that they are.
Interesting, really interesting. So it's interesting to know how your own career path shaped this vision, and how you see that this creative expression as a means to like as something very powerful for the unseen voices. So like lately we had this experience of running this career tree workshop together for our immigrant moms. So for I'm gonna actually show the career tree, because that's what I really like about it, is that it's self-explanatory. I really like it. So let me just pull it up here. So based on our experience together, what we did was that we were asking some questions about, what is their vision for their career. So about asking about their career aspirations. And it ended up like having this very, very beautiful career tree. So, and after that, we had some reflections on the exercise together. And I can see clearly, the powerful tool that you have that can help us, like all of us, to hear those unseen voices, you know. And so, Chris, what stood out to you most about how the immigrant moms, career-focused immigrant moms in that workshop, they use this drawing tool of yours, Pickles, to express themselves and their career dreams?
Yeah, I thought one of the really interesting parts of this, Masa, was how we were asking questions and we were trying to
Yeah,
engage some of these moms, but the cameras were off,
yeah,
the microphones were muted. So I really didn't know what to expect going into the exercise. I thought it would just kind of stay blank and people might not participate that much, but it was quite the opposite. I think everybody participated and joined because it was just easy to do. And everyone can draw, even if it's something that we've convinced ourselves, oh, I suck at drawing, I can't do that. It's all anonymous in this case, so we couldn't put anyone on the spot. And so, first of all, it was the engagement levels. I was super excited to see really everyone participating and sharing something unique with everyone else, and just the similarities that people have. Like a lot of people are just trying to grow their families, their abilities, the love that they have in their life, in their world. Um, and then just like where their roots are coming from as well. I think it's also uh, kind of their culture, their family, their courage that they have, because it's not easy to immigrate. I found that out when I moved from the States to Montreal. And my first networking event, the first event at all that I went to there, it was all in French. And I was like, oh, I, I thought this was Canada. I thought I would be able to speak with everyone here. And here I was immediately feeling like an outsider for the first time in my life. And so I think that can be both a motivating feeling and an othering feeling. You're motivated because like you don't have that support network anymore. And so it can feel a bit isolating. And yeah, I remember being in. Sorry, I'm getting off track. I
oh,
love the
exactly. No,
I love the workshop.
yeah, yeah. So that's just what I wanted to move on next. So I just wanted to touch on some points about that workshop as well. Really working with immigrant moms who are career focused. I've been working with them like for at least 3-4 years before this workshop. But after this workshop, I got to know like some other stuff about them that I didn't know before, like for example how it is important for them to build legacy through their work or through their career here in Canada, or how like it is related for them for building their career. For them it is so related to building a like a good family, or family, I would say, foundation here somehow. And so I found it very, very like powerful. I could have never thought of a like an engagement tool like this to be this much powerful in career development for immigrants. And as you say, there are a lot of barriers for a new immigrant coming to a new country, specifically for for their professional development. One of them can be language barrier that you were mentioning. So for us immigrants coming to the new country, even if you're fluently speaking that language, still, some of the times you're not feeling 100% confident. We're like speaking, we are actually working with a lot of moms about language confidence, but even at the end of the day, some of the times, you're not feeling 100% confident. It depends on the level of the formality of the networking event that you go there, or, the conversations that you have. But, engagement tools like Pickles can actually be not only an icebreaker to help them, find themselves in those moments, but also a confidence booster. Because when they see that, okay, well, what is in their mind is shown there, so it is visible there. It's somehow, they become more confident in presenting themselves. Yeah, so very impactful work you're doing and working on.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think it comes down to just seeing and making a mark in some public area that like it's yours, even if everyone else doesn't. Like that you are sharing a part of this, and you are able to be represented in this space, which just starts the ball rolling
Exactly.
from silence to
Exactly.
expression. And I think that's a super powerful thing, because it also shows that, hey, we're not all perfect. Like, what is a perfect drawing? There is no perfect drawing. There is no perfect art. There's no perfect conversation. And I think so many immigrants who don't have that language native,
Mm-hmm.
even if they're super proficient,
Mm-hmm.
you still can get in your head of, oh, did I pronounce that exactly
Really?
right? Like, my partner says that I have a German accent when I speak French, and I'm like, how? I don't even speak French well, let alone, like, I'm definitely not doing this on purpose. And so I think it's like easy to think that, oh, we need to be perfect before we can contribute. And hopefully this just teaches that, like, there is no perfection, and contribute how you can, as you are, and do it as the imperfect people who we all are.
Yeah, beautiful. That's true. That's true completely. That's what I've seen in that workshop. And thank you for this experience that you've given all of us. Okay, Chris, you already mentioned that you've also like you've made a big international move yourself recently. So, so now you mentioned or not? So you mentioned that once you've been in Montreal from the US, and then where are you living now? I think that you have something else to share about your state now, because this actually makes
Yeah,
us feel that we're somehow having the same experience as an immigrant, right?
yeah, yeah. So moving to Montreal was a big change for a simple 5 hour ride from
Mm-hmm.
Boston. It's almost like you drove to Europe
Exactly. Yeah.
in a way. And when I was there, I met my partner, who was
Mm-hmm.
Tahitian. She still is Tahitian, actually. And so then we moved to Tahiti after being digital nomads, moving around the world for a little bit. So that is where I currently
Ah,
am. This is a little
beautiful.
view of
Oh,
the South Pacific that you can see over
well,
here. Um,
for you.
so I can't even find it on a map. I have to search Tahiti and then zoom out, because it's
That's
almost too
beautiful.
small
Yeah.
in the massive Pacific Ocean.
Wow. Good for you.
But here is another place that it's all French language. They also speak Tahitian and some level of English, but I'm now finding myself again in a French world,
Oh,
trying to navigate the local
that's
community. So experiencing what a lot of the
exactly.
immigrant mothers that you work with have gone through and are going through.
Yeah, that's a beautiful place, by the way. Good for you living there. That's great.
Thank you.
But
Yeah.
just I'm curious, what's that experience that you're like living that experience right now, in terms of visibility, in terms of I would say new identity or finding your voice in a new space. Have you felt like that some of the times you may not be visible, when you're in a local community there because of the new experience that you have?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel that way. I think that is why it's so helpful to have that local
Mm-hmm.
support, like my girlfriend, and just being able to go grocery shopping with
Mm-hmm.
her, having her offer little translations when we're having family dinners, so that I know some semblance of what is being discussed in the conversation, just as she kind of brings me up. Like, all of those help to feel more included. But how I'm going to participate in the local economy and bring my entrepreneurial skills, my abilities here, that's still kind of up in the air. Like, I still don't exactly know that, because to open a food truck, I'm probably going to need to be a lot better at French. Um, there's just like a lot that I think it takes, and that's why I like having the community. I mean, I've seeked out the English speakers of Tahiti Facebook group, and there's a couple hundred members there. But at the same time, I don't want to just like only be hanging out with Anglophones while I'm here. Just like I'm sure you don't
Yeah,
want to just speak with
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Iranian immigrants, so that you can all speak
yeah.
Farsi.
Farsi, yeah,
Is it?
yeah,
Yeah. So like that's also like not really the point, but I totally understand why that feels so good to just speak your native language with people who are going through the same thing that you're going through. I think that is super needed in addition to integrating with the local language and people and culture.
Yeah, that was a great point actually, because some of the times we're too focused on integrating with the like the new space that we're in, that we forget about, sometimes we need to ease around and have some conversations with our, like I would say, people from the same home country as us. For me, the very first few months of coming to Canada, I was like pressured by, starting to network, starting to make friends, all in English and all somehow in French, because I'm now in Montreal as well. But it's it's a lot of burden, some of the times. It was a good point that you mentioned. So we need to have a balance between these two, I would say. That's great.
Yeah.
So I'm actually moving on to the next phase. I think that now with the fatherhood on the horizon, uh, I imagine it's a whole new lens for you. How are you thinking about, I would say, legacy, in your job, as a like a business owner, and creativity differently these days. Do you think it has changed anyways? Because our audience is like they're all moms, so they're parents, and you're also becoming a parent soon. Do you think anything has changed when we're actually making or building careers, as an immigrant? Some of the times, unconsciously, some of the times there are like other thoughts that are, I would say, influencing our decisions. That I think it's related to our state of being a parent. So what about you? Is it anything that has changed lately for you?
Yeah, I mean, definitely now with 6 to 8 weeks to go until welcoming this baby girl into the world,
Congratulations.
I'm definitely feeling like the deadline is coming due, and I have to figure out everything in my life, have it all taken care of in in that time, which definitely it makes me feel kind of anxious, kind of expectant, and it definitely, I'm not just living for myself anymore.
Yeah.
And like I can sleep on a couch and eat rice and beans and make it work, but that's not going to cut it for this new baby who is going to have all sorts of other needs. And so I think it's I don't really think about legacy all that much, um, because I think, I mean, I'm not concerned with preserving my name for generations to come. I think that's putting a lot of pressure
Mm,
on a life that can already
yeah,
have enough
yeah.
pressure on it. But I mean, I do think of this baby as probably the biggest
Oh,
creation, work of art, business. Like it's all similar. You need to put love and care into this so that it can grow into kind of what it wants to grow into. Just like a business, you might have an idea when you start, but then it takes a different form based on outside conditions and people you meet, and it's just this living, growing thing. And I kind of view fatherhood as that as well, where I have no idea what to really expect. I am going to do the best every day and every step to um, give it the best chance at successful, happy life
wow.
as possible. And then just like take care as much as I can of it, of myself, to do all of those things. And so, yeah, it's definitely changing things. And um, like talking to some friends who are also parents, he said like everyone in Tahiti, or a lot of people, surf. And he said after he became a dad, he wasn't as just like gung ho on the waves. Like you gotta just jump in and like not think
Cool.
about anything else. But now he is always thinking about something
Wow.
else. Like you can't just risk your life
Exactly.
as freely as you did because you have
Yeah.
a child relying upon you that you want to raise. And so I think that definitely changes things. Like probably won't be doing too many new extreme sports, but yeah, just staying safe so I can provide a great life for this baby girl coming
Awesome,
soon.
awesome. I'm so happy for you, and good luck in your fatherhood journey.
Thank
I'm
you.
sure that it's going to be brilliant for you and your wife. And it was interesting that you mentioned that it's like having a business. You need to nurture it, you need to love it. And for me, having my business, it was after becoming a mom. So I always mention that MamaNest is my third child, or actually, it was my second child. Then I had my second child, so it became my third child. But there are lots of similarities. There are lots of similarities between like nurturing a kid and nurturing a business. So I'm sure that you have lots of experience that you can share with others, and you can use in your
Yeah.
fatherhood journey.
Yeah. Well, you have more experience because you have two kids and you've launched a business. So can you share anything that has helped you do that, or that you maybe wish you knew before, or just how
Yeah,
some
so actually
insights
I
to that?
started when I became a mom, I was into this mindset that okay, I need to be the best mom ever, because previously in my job I was doing good, in my studies I was doing good, and I said okay, well with this new role I need to be the best as well. So it was too much pressure for me, and I actually ended up like becoming depressed because I couldn't, there are lots of mistakes that you make in the very first few days, months, and so then I made a realization that, okay, well, no need to become the best mom. I just need to be the best version of myself. And that helped me a lot, to
Mm,
just focus on my self development in all aspects of my life, not only motherhood. So even if I'm doing and investing some time in my business, it helps me to become a better mom as well, because that's an area of my life that I need to take care of it. That was one of the things that I learned it the hard way. That I would like all everyone to know, because when you're becoming a new dad or a new mom, it doesn't mean that you need to just only focus on your new role. You need to focus on everything at the same time, I would say. And and yeah, and also like following your own instincts. So you do know how to be a good dad. You don't need that extra information or tips from others. I would say trust yourself, trust your instincts. That so most of the times we are able to make the best decisions for like what should be my reaction to this or that. But why we feel we're not able to make that decision, because sometimes you're not feeling confident in our own abilities or in our own skills. It's good to be educated, it's good to ask other people, but at the same time don't forget to trust your own instincts as well. We are made to be I would say people who can raise humans. So, yeah,
yeah.
if you trust that, for me it was a game changer when I started actually trusting myself as well. Yeah, so it's a
Wow.
balance. I would say. But I'm sure that it's going to be a brilliant experience for you. Definitely. And I'm so
Yeah.
happy for you. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with us and everything. I'm just moving to the next question that I've got from you, is that from what you have seen so far in the like different workshops that you've had with people, specifically for women, what do you think really can help women show up more confidently in their in professional spaces or digital spaces? Because that was our mutual experience in that workshop. That we have asked them to turn on their camera, but they didn't. But when you started asking them
Hmm.
questions with this tool, they started showing up and started sharing things. What do you think it can make a difference for them? And specifically, what tips I would say do you have for them?
Yeah. That's a great question, and I think it might. My advice is really about that confidence, because I think that confidence, like you might feel a little bit confident after reading a post or something that says you're a goddess and you're a divine being connected to everything and you can do everything. And the people who post that, oftentimes they need that advice because they're like, oh yes, this makes me
Mhm.
feel empowered. But I think that that's also a temporary feeling. And really the consistent confidence, the consistent feeling of empowerment that